Both hard, everyone. So the big question, it seems, of the past couple of weeks is it too late for me to move to Portugal? And my answer is a resounding no. Is it as simple as it was a couple of years ago? Maybe not, but it's not something that you cannot overcome. So I want to address a couple of things when considering a move abroad. Regardless if it's Portugal or anywhere else across the world, when you're considering a move abroad, first of all, you need to consider exactly how you're going to support yourself. If you're an independent contractor, if you're a business owner, if you're a retiree, if you're a student, all of those things are going to be fundamental to determining what kind of visa you need to secure in order to make that dream a reality. And I think I'm going to make this a series that addresses each one of those scenarios. I'm going to start today for those of us who may be moving here as retirees. So I moved to Portugal on a D7 visa. And so what that means is that as far as Portugal is concerned, I have retirement income or passive income. So every country is different. Whatever the country is of interest to you, you need to consult on their consulate, their embassy site, and go through and see what their visa requirements are. For the D7 here, it required you to have a certain income level, a certain amount in a Portuguese bank account. They're trying to determine if you're going to be a burden on the system or not. And so I would say, think about those things. Something else that's very important when you're considering a move abroad is not only how are you going to support yourself, but how likely is it that the way you currently support yourself will continue to be feasible and sustainable over the long term. Here in Portugal with the D7 visa, we have two different residency renewal periods. So you first get your visa, and I will explain the process. So you determine which visa you're going after. In my instance, it was a D7 visa, which means I met this certain criteria as far as financial obligations to support myself every month. And I also met the requirement of having XYZ amount of money in the Portuguese bank account. At the time when I first applied in 2022, the Portuguese minimum wage was about 740 euros, and you needed to have 12 months of that in the bank for one individual as savings. Even though that is what is stipulated, I advise all of my clients to have at least double that in your bank account, because in your Portuguese bank account, that shows how you're going to sustain yourself for the first at least year or two while you're living abroad. And it's not because that's what's explicit in the rules, but you want to make your application as strong as possible and give them every reason to say yes and not have to question you. You don't want to have to appeal. People do appeal and you can successfully appeal, but you want to avoid that if possible. So at the time, I think it was whatever 12 times 740 euros is 800 maybe euros that I needed to have. Something like that, 9,800 euros in the bank. I can't quite remember, but I know I put a significant amount more than that in my Portuguese bank account. And so let's just say, for the sake of round figures, it's 1,000 euro. 12 times 1,000 is 12,000 euro. That's what the Portuguese government would be looking for you to have in the bank account. It's less than that because that's not the Portuguese minimum wage. The Portuguese minimum wage now is a little bit over 800 euro a month. So let's say it's 800. So 12 times 800 is 9,600 euro. They would be looking for you to have at least that as at a minimum in your Portuguese bank account. Again, I advise to have at least double that. So that your application is as strong as possible, especially in this weird state of the world where everybody is rethinking their immigration requirements, their immigration standards. Make yourself the most attractive candidate as possible. So once you do that and establish what your requirements are, I would begin to think about what it means to live off of that money. If you're not putting in a significant amount more than that to cover your mortgage or your rent, your utilities every month, your water, your gas, your sanitation bill, your healthcare costs. Here, my healthcare is basically 100 euro per person for pretty top of the line care, which is great, and that's private insurance. but you need to think about that. That's a cost. So your healthcare, your electric bill, your your water, your sanitation, your internet, your cell phone bill. All of those are going to be part of your budget that you need to construct. Now, here comes the fun part. You're probably doing that budget in USD. Whatever country you're going to be immigrating to, you will have to use their currency for paying your bills. Right now, the dollar to euro exchange rate is not amazing. I already did a series on this before, saying that I think we are at like 0.85 is the exchange rate right now, which effectively means I'm losing like 15% on my money every time I transfer money over, which is significant. When I first came, if it was almost dollar for euro, and now I'm losing 15% on my money, that effectively is like having a 15% hike in all of my bills. And so on top of whatever is happening inflation-wise in whatever market you're going to. So that is a significant factor, which is why I advise whatever you think you can afford, as far as your main bill of rent or mortgage, whatever your housing bill is, knock 20% off of that. So if you think you can afford $2,000 a month, knock $400 off and be safe and say, I'm going to look for something that's $1,600 a month. Because when that fluctuation hits with your currency and your currency exchange, it will be painful. And most people I know right now are feeling that pain. We are all feeling that pain of having to send money over from the country of your origin to your new home country. So I would advise people to not only have that pot of money, but begin to think about how you can supplement your income in the currency of where you're residing. Now, some countries, like where I am, some countries may allow you to work on certain visas. Once you're here, some may not. I believe in Spain, if you're on a retirement visa, they mean retirement. They mean do not be earning any money outside of whatever pension or Social Security or whatever else you presented in your visa application. They mean do not get a job. Some countries are more flexible with that. So if you can, I would highly advise you to figure out a way to supplement your income in that country's currency, because that way you're not as tethered to and at the whim of the markets, with the dollar fluctuating or wherever you're coming from fluctuating as much. So that's always a key factor that I would encourage people to think about. I know that we're all in the time of pretty much trying to figure out, I hate the word side hustle, but trying to figure out supplementary forms of income. I think it's crucial, especially when you are becoming an immigrant somewhere, to try to figure out what your talents are, what can you monetize. And I don't believe in monetizing every hobby. Some things should just be hobbies. Some things, I mean, we're human beings, we're here to enjoy this world. Some things are just meant for joy and pleasure, not to be commodified. However, in these very real times when people are losing jobs by the hundreds of thousands in a very rapid and short time frame, it is going to be crucial because the jobs of the past will no longer exist. And I don't want to be doom and gloom, and I know people don't like to think about those things, but that's the reality, and especially if you're going to be starting over in a new place. So I just wanted to do a really introductory type of video on this. I will hit ways I think that people could possibly supplement their income, and also begin to think about if you're a student. And I don't mean just if you're a person who's just newly graduated high school, which is, parents, listen to me please. Consider if your child, you know your child's personality better than anyone else, but if your child is really good and independent and mature and ready for that, I would highly advise you to consider possibly sending them to school abroad. There are many countries that offer free tuition for American students, and if I had it to do it again, I would definitely do that. I did that with my child for graduate school, I somewhat wish I had done that for her undergraduate education. She did study abroad, part of her undergraduate matriculation, but I really, really encourage that for people going forward. So I will do a video on that as well, and some opportunities that I'm aware of. But also, if you're a full adult like me, who is now approaching 50 years old, there are opportunities if you want to pursue a graduate level degree, your master's, your PhD. There are programs that will also allow you to go for very little money or no money, and sometimes even have a supplement or a stipend to do so. And if that is something that would appeal to you, if you feel very limited because you don't have a pot of money or you're not drawing a pension, think outside of the box about ways that you could possibly make your live abroad dreams happen. And again, I will be doing some more videos about that going forward. So I hope this is helpful for you today. If you have any other topics that you think you would like to see addressed as you consider possibly immigrating abroad, let me know and I will try to address it on here. Okay, beijinhos. Ciao till next time.